So about 6 months ago, I get a DM from Mohini Day, the amazing bass player that I interviewed on my channel last year. And she's like, I'm playing with Willow Smith, and we just played Tiny Desk. You should check it out. And I was thinking, Willow Smith? You mean like, wait a minute, Willow Smith? So I click on it, and I saw this.
Pushing and peeling myself out of my disguise. Looking at you now, I'm wondering who am I? If I could try to take you back, I couldn't define. Feeling absence of time, knowing all is decided. There's nothing here left to find. The story's all in my mind.
So I was blown away by this live performance. She's an incredibly good live singer. So I went and listened to the record, and the record is great. So eventually Willow and I got connected, and last time I was in LA, I got a chance to sit down and talk with her. And during that, she debuted a new song called Honor that is beautiful. Before we get started, remember to hit subscribe. 57% of the people that follow this channel are not subscribed, so hit subscribe right now. Here's my interview. Willow.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you are here. It's so nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you.
Okay, so tell me what you've been up to lately.
Oh man, what have I been up to? I've been writing songs. It's so interesting because usually after I put an album out, I try to like take a vibe of just like I'm not doing anything, I'm just gonna chill. But the snowball is rolling, and I'm so inspired after dropping this last project, and I don't know, it's a weird vibe, but it's cool.
Tell me about your process of making your last record. How do you go from ideas to the production part of it and then actually making the record?
So my really, really good friend, Chris Griotti, who we made the last 2 records together.
He's awesome.
Oh my goodness, I love him so much. And also my homie Eddie Benjamin, we'll get to that later. We did 3 songs on Empathogen. But I don't like to come into the studio with like an idea of like, this is what we're gonna do today. And sometimes that's really daunting, you know what I'm saying? Like you just walk in and there's just nothing and you're just like, okay. But with Empathogen specifically, it was very rhythmically oriented. Like the drums were always the first thing that went down. And I feel like you can kind of feel that with all the time signatures and how everything's very rhythmic. And it was always drums first. And then usually some bass, because that's the thing, like in all of the songs, there's this push and pull of like the melody and the rhythm. Like I try to sing around the rhythm. You know what I'm saying? A little bit disorienting sometimes.
When you have an odd time signature, do you have to count it or you just feel it?
Weirdly enough, whenever I try to count it, it doesn't work. Like I did some shows with just a piano player, my really, really good homie, Zach Tenorio. Shout out Zach Tenorio. He played the keys on Big Feelings. And I was trying to count it because without drums, performing Symptom of Life live without drums and just the piano was like, what am I doing? And I tried to count it, it just didn't work. And then once I just let that go and I was like, we're just gonna see what happens, boom, lock in.
You said on one Instagram post a while back, you were talking about, maybe it was from an interview or something, and you're talking about before you played guitar, you didn't feel like you were you were like, oh, I'm just a singer. Talk about that whole thing. That's because I found that fascinating.
The way that I started doing music was very, like, God bless my parents. They're thinking of like Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, like all these pop stars. And so they're like, okay, my daughter tells me she wants to sing. Okay, singing lessons, and like we're gonna get her into some dance lessons, and we're gonna hit it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take it there. And now I realize like, oh man, like I needed to be looking at videos of like Prince, or like I needed to be looking at videos of like Tori Amos, or like musicianship. I felt now looking back could have been a really great anchor for me, because I kind of swirled off and lost my way a little bit, feeling like, what am I doing? Like I stopped doing music for a long time because I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm not sure what I'm doing actually. Like it's not.
What is that? What do you mean exactly?
Like it's not hitting me in that heart place, in that like alignment place that when I first figured out that I wanted to sing on my little garage band in my room, you know what I'm saying? Like that place wasn't getting touched. And so that's why I didn't feel like I was a real musician. That's why, because it wasn't hitting that spot. And my first instrument was actually the piano.
Okay.
And weirdly enough, there are these two brothers, the Graves brothers, Cameron Graves and Taylor Graves, and their dad, they were really good friends with my family. They still are. Love you guys. Shout out to the Graves brothers and the Graves family. Beautiful musicians, just from like tiny, and now they're like pretty much just like savants forever. And their dad, who taught them, tried to teach me how to play piano.
What do you mean tried? What does that mean?
I mean, this man is a titan of music, like Mr. Graves, titan of music, and titan of just like understanding the piano. And I just wasn't there yet. Like I wasn't.
Well, what kind of stuff was he doing? Was he making you read music and things and you were just like, this is boring?
No, my mind wasn't tapped into the rigorous nature that it takes at that time.
Right. And how old were you then?
I was probably like maybe 10.
Okay.
9, 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But his sons were way younger, ripping it on the, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
It was a different kind of mindset. And so I was like, dang, I guess I don't have it. Like, I guess I don't have the stuff. Because I was just like, I just can't do this. I can't do this. And so the piano kind of went by the wayside. I don't feel like I'm answering your question. I feel like I'm just going crazy.
You're getting to it. No, this is good. Keep going. You're riffing.
Yeah, I'm riffing. I'm
good.
getting to the point.
Yeah.
Getting to the point. But there was just a period of my life where I just felt like, okay, like I'm in the studio, I'm singing, I'm doing this. That takes a certain skill.
Wait. Go back. Did you quit the piano then?
I did.
Okay, so you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Were your folks like, okay, fine.
They were like, you're gonna regret that.
Okay.
You're gonna regret that.
Okay.
Because they knew that this is what I wanted for myself.
Okay.
Like, this is what I wanted for myself. I want to be a musician who understands their instrument, who understands exactly what they're doing and can bring their heart to it, but also their mind to it. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it just didn't hit. You know what I'm saying? And so I felt insecure. I felt just lesser than. I was like, I just don't have it. Because around me were so many amazing musicians that were and I was just like, I just don't have it, right?
Right.
And so me doing pop music and me doing all of that, like, it was fulfilling at a certain point, but there was always that part of me that was like, like, it's not hitting that spot. And that's a personal thing, you know? And I stopped doing music for a long time. I was like, this isn't for me, like the whole thing.
Okay.
I was like, I can't find it. I can't catch it.
Okay.
This whole thing isn't for me. And a few years went by. I tried to actually be a ballet dancer during this time.
Okay.
I tried to get into a company, like an actual ballet company. Didn't work out. I was listening to classical music every day though.
Okay.
During this period.
It's good.
Because when you do ballet, it's like specific classical songs that you listen to. And so that was just getting into my brain. Now I feel like in a weird way, that kind of did a psychological thing where like now it's kind of, I don't know, subconsciously listening to classical music for hours and hours every day. But yeah, I was like, not doing this isn't for me. And then it just kept calling, because when your passion is your passion, you can try to run away from it, but you can't run away from it. And so then I got back into it, and just now recently, like I've been just like trying to find it and putting my heart into it, you know what I'm saying? Like really like finding that, speaking about things that like really matter to me, mm-hmm. but that other like technical side of it, I just felt like it was lacking. Just now in my life, just now, like I met Chris Griotti, we made Coping Mechanism together, mm-hmm. and watching the way his mind worked and how he would take my ideas and like synthesize it, I was just like, yo, like it was so inspiring. Mm-hmm. And that didn't quite do it for me yet, but that put me on a trajectory of like, okay, a door is open closer to where it hits that spot, right? And then cut to starting Empathogen, I meet my really, really good friend, Eddie Benjamin. And Eddie Benjamin he's a savant. Like he's younger than me. I'm pretty sure he's like 22. And he just rips on every instrument, like it's crazy. And I met him, And he would call me every day and be like, did you practice today? What did you, bro, I'm not shitting you. Like, what did you practice today? And I'd be like, dang, like, I practiced this, I practiced that. And so now I'm like on this role of like, I really love this person and I love music and they're helping me become a better musician. And then we made a bunch of music together and it was so beautiful. And No Words 1 and 2 is a song that we made together. Alone, which came out before Empathogen, is a song that we made together. I Know That Face is a song that we made together. And just having that deep friendship of a person checking in and being like, hey, what's up, bro? Like what? Like I'm checking for it if no one else in your life is checking for it. You know what I'm saying? And that really.
Well, what would you say when he would check in on you? What would you say? Oh, I did this today.
Yes, and we would just riff about it and talk about it, and he would give me like, oh, you should listen to this song because they use this kind of chord progression and this kind of scale, and you should da-da-da-da, whatever. He's like, you like singing in Lydian, you also like singing in Phrygian, and da-da-da-da, whatever. And so it just opened my mind up to a whole new way of seeing music. I never knew I could fall more in love with music. And so, I don't know, now the craft, like, I'm just like, that's the part that was missing.
Okay, so you play guitar, you play bass and things like that. How did you just get started with that? Did you just get a guitar and you start learning how to play it or what?
No, weirdly enough, around 14, and everyone always is like, this is so ridiculous. Like, why did this inspire you? Could have been Jimi Hendrix, could have been all these other things, but weirdly enough.
Oh no.
It was a Michael Cera album.
Okay.
And Michael Cera's not a musician. Michael Cera, I mean, he is. But Michael Cera is mainly an actor, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, dang, but I listened to this Michael Cera album and it's all just like him playing acoustic guitar and it's very like DIY, and I was like, why does this make me feel like I want to go get an acoustic guitar right now and just like go for it? And so around 14, that's what I did, and I've been playing guitar ever since.
Did you teach yourself then?
I've had a few teachers.
Okay.
For the first like 2 years, I was just messing around, vibing out. My album, The First, features me on a lot of songs, just like trying to figure out like what I'm playing. And you can tell, it's really cute. The songs are beautiful, but it's like, aw, like, you know. And Contentment is one of my favorite ones on there. Anyway, I had one teacher who was a classical guitar teacher, and I had my foot up on the thing, and it was, you know, all that. And then I had so I had that teacher for about 2 years.
Okay.
And then I had like
Wait,
a classic.
did you practice then?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
I mean, the classical.
So it wasn't like the piano lessons. This was like, okay, I dig the guitar, I'm gonna practice it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I had been playing and having my own kind of relationship with the instrument for a few years before I got a teacher, so I feel like.
That's better, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of solidified, like, it's not about the teacher, like, it's about me and my instrument.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I had a classical guitar teacher, nylon string guitar teacher for 2 years, and then I had like a really like classic rock, like guy who like really just loved Led Zeppelin and like ZZ Top and just like all these guys. And he taught me like some really fundamental riffs that I just didn't know, you know what I'm saying? Because I had been playing whatever I wanted and like weird classical shit for so long. And so that kind of gave me another way of kind of thinking about guitar.
Yeah.
And then after after those two, I've been vibing on my own ever since.
Okay, you like jazz as well.
Oh yeah.
Now, how did you get into jazz?
Man. Well, obviously as a kid, my mom would play Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and all that stuff, but it was just like, oh, this is what my mom listens to, you know what I'm saying? Like as a child, it wasn't like, oh man, light bulb, you know what I'm saying? But a few years ago, me and my really good friend, we took a trip down to Napa Valley, and it's the sunset, having a little glass of wine, looking at the sunset, and they put on Chet Baker. And this was after Coping Mechanism. Like, I really felt in that time after Coping Mechanism that I just didn't know what I was gonna do. Because I felt like I had put so much energy into Coping Mechanism and I had stretched my mind in such a different way. Like, I'm a harmony addict. Like, I'm addicted to harmonies. Like, more harmonies. Like, I don't care, you know what I'm saying? And just the different kind of complex harmonies that were happening on that album, I really had to like stretch my brain to even conceive of that at the time. And so I felt very like, oh man, like, is that it? Like I felt very like, oh my goodness, like do I have more? And I was talking to my friend about it and we were just outside and Chet Baker's playing. And I'm like low-key kind of down bad. I'm like, what am I gonna do? And we just sit in silence and I'm listening. And it's that one song where he's talking about the girl of my dreams. What a fantasy. And I'm listening to his voice. And the trumpet solo comes in and I'm like, moved me to tears, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't necessarily like about jazz.
Right.
It was about the emotion and it was about the story and it was about how the music and the composition took you along with that story. And then I just went on a whole deep dive and I was like, here we go. We just keep going. And it just opened my mind. Like I just felt like, how much more can my mind stretch? I felt like it was stretched enough already, but it was just like there's so much more for you to learn. This is not only a genre of music, this is a legacy. And weirdly enough, it's all humans' legacy, but from a specific view of like the African American experience in this country, it's like our legacy.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that just took me on a whole journey. And that was the beginning of me being like, I'm gonna make a jazz album.
When I see you playing stuff or singing along with, jazz tunes, and you have such a good ear for music. I mean, you have a really good ear. Is this something that you have worked on? Like, do you work on?
Oh, yeah.
You work on improving your ear all the time.
Oh my goodness.
Your pitch is so good. Your singing pitch. And so watch her tiny desk.
Oh my goodness.
Her tiny desk is amazing. Your pitch, your rhythm, everything, your phrasing is so good, but your pitch is so good.
Okay, so I've had the same vocal coach, Tim Carter. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Tim Carter. For about like 13 years now.
Okay.
Like 13, 14 years now. So that has been like my voice is my first instrument. Like that's the thing that I've put the most time into, the most effort into. And it's seeming like it's really showing. And that's really inspiring to me to just like sharpen it even more and more and find new avenues and new ways to use my voice. But yeah, like that's my first, like I've been hitting it hard for many years.
Willow, there's many people that have to take vocal lessons and have a good vocal coaches, but they don't necessarily have great pitch. Okay, is that something that you can work on? That's usually something that people ask me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I did your ear training course. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I got as far as like the sus chords, and then you got into the inversions, and I was like, okay, this is kind of where I put my hat down. But like when it comes to saying what the note is, I'm like, you lost me, kinda. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I can really hear it. But
you have a great ear.
But the mental connection of hearing a note and being like, that's an A sharp is like, kind of, I'm working on that.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, when you're singing vocals, when you're making a record and you're singing vocals, do you wear headphones? Do you sing or do you sing with speakers on? How do you like to cut your vocals?
In the cans.
Okay.
100%. It needs to be very intimate, and like, I just need to really be able to hear everything.
Is there a particular mic that you typically use?
Neumann.
Okay.
Neumann something 7. Neumann. It's a Neumann.
Okay.
It's a Neumann. I'm not a gearhead.
U47?
Sounds about right.
Okay. One of those numbers.
One of those numbers. I'm not a gearhead. Like, even the amps, like, I wish I just knew gear. Like, that's why I love recording and hanging out with St. Vincent, because she just knows.
She made a lot of records.
Bro, but it's very like gear, like she's very gear oriented. Like she knows exactly what's gonna make a sound, the machinery. Like I'm very organic when it comes to like, I go into the studio and I'm like, You got drums, you got a piano, you got a guitar. It's
Well, you plugged in your guitar here before we started, and you're like, needs a little bit more reverb. Then you're like, it's got too much bass, and you went over and adjusted it yourself, right? You know what you want to hear.
Of course.
It's a vibe. When you hear something, you're playing your guitar. When you have the right sound, you get inspired, right?
Yeah.
Or if you find a cool sounding chord or chord progression, it can make you inspired to do something. But if you can't find something, you find yourself some days like, I just can't come up with anything.
I know what that's like.
What do you do when you do that?
Weirdly enough, I kind of like to let it be for a sec.
Okay.
Because if you keep hitting your head up against that wall, personally for me, I start to feel like, oh my God, I'm not even a good musician. I'm not, how did I make any of these songs? I start going down a spiral of like, and then it's just like, you know what? We need to go outside, talk to the trees outside, maybe just chill. Because I know what it's like to just be hitting your head up against that wall, and that becomes an unself-loving kind of vibe. Like I feel like a lot of musicians who really love the craft and who devote themselves, they're always striving, you know? So like some musicians that I've met, including myself, it feels like because we're always striving, there's this sense of like, I'm not good enough. And I feel like sometimes that's the driving force of like hitting your head against that wall, being like, no, I'm gonna figure something out. And it's like, no, love yourself. You're an amazing musician. You have so much to offer. Chill for a sec. And then it'll be like, oh man, that emotion or that conversation or that whatever it is, like life shows you what, you know what I'm saying? If you're paying attention, life can really speak to you in that way. And it doesn't always have to be about, I have to make something happen. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so how do you keep your ideas? How do you record your ideas? You just put them on your phone?
Voice memo. Yeah. I have like, my voice memos could, if we printed them out, it would be long as DNA. Probably.
And do you actually name them or anything? How do you know what idea is what? Or do you have to go back through and listen to them?
I do like a word, like a lyric, and then it's like 1. And then it's like, if I do it more, it's like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. So I have just like versions upon versions, but my organization skills on that aren't very good. So sometimes I'm just like, if I'm in the studio and I'm like, what am I gonna do? I just Russian roulette it and press a thing, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let's relearn that. You know what I'm saying? And build on that.
Okay, if you're writing lyrics, how do you do it? Do you dictate? Do you type on the computer? What do you do? Do you write on paper? I'm always fascinated by people's process.
Yeah, I rarely write them down.
Yeah.
Usually it's coming from like something that I've experienced or something, or like maybe it's even just a word that I just want to riff off of. And I go in and I just run it a bunch of times. And I wouldn't necessarily call it a freestyle, but it's like I'm writing in the booth. You know what I'm saying? Some rappers do this. Like actually a lot of rappers do this. They go in and they hear it and they'll kind of do like a mumble take. And then it's like, okay, more words, more, like each time it gets more fleshed out.
How important are syllables for coming up when you have a melody or something, you're trying to write a lyric for it? Or do you think about stuff like that? Like this sounds like this word's, like this melody sounds like this word or this...
It's really important.
Really important,
because
right?
it's not necessarily the rhythm of the song, but there are counter melodies and counter rhythms. Like if you're doing it right, there's usually a counter melodies and counter rhythms that are happening, and you know, certain words and certain things. But sometimes if the truth doesn't fit into what sounds the way you think it should sound, you just gotta say F it and just say the truth, because we can't be precious like that all the time.
How much are you involved in the in the production part of it, in that I think it needs something here, or that's like you're big time involved in that, right?
Oh man. So with Chris, because he works so much on the computer, it's a lot of like listening and editing and redoing, and me singing something and us listening to another thing and going back and redoing. But because he's so talented, it's like the slightest shred of me being like, like I feel like it needs to have more of this feeling, or it needs to feel like rain in the distance, or like this note, this melody, this like, he can synthesize that and be like something like this. And it's like, yo, like yes or no, let's synthesize it more. But usually it's like, hell yeah. Me and Eddie, it's so funny because he plays everything, so we're never really on the computer. We're mostly just in the live room, and I will literally be in front of the drums like, and he'll say like, you just play me. Like he'll be like, I look at you and you literally play, like you're playing through me. And it's really fun and super beautiful. And it's both of these different kinds of working, like scratches a different part of my brain. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm not going to be able to play that part as good as him, but I can show him like what I want it to be, and that's really, really cool. I find that fulfilling.
You post stuff like little bits of things that you're working on Instagram. Is that also a way to kind of just put your ideas out there, or memorialize them or whatever that?
I don't put as many original ideas on it. I don't put...
But you put out stuff that you're working on, or if there's something interesting. It's not necessarily things that your songs or anything like that. But it's
totally.
Like, oh, I'm working on this, little snippets of things that you're working on. Or some things
studies.
that you find interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
studies.
It's like little studies, you know what I'm saying? It's like, right now I've been, I don't know if I'm ever gonna get this, but I've been working on the guitar part in Contusion. That, honestly, I don't even know. I'm just like, I'm gonna be practicing that for my entire life. And I'm happy to do it because it fulfills me. But like those little things on Instagram, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of a little bit of a motivator, you know? It's like, if you get this riff, you get to post it on Instagram. And so I'm sitting in my house for fucking 4 hours, 5 hours a day, just like, you know what I'm saying? And then I can bring those skills that I've just learned doing this riff into like another song that might not
be anything like that.
Yeah, be anything like that.
Do you find it meditative to practice?
Oh yeah. I used to be really stressed. Like it used to stress me out because, I don't know, I feel like a lot of musicians can relate to this. Maybe not, maybe you can't, but like you always just want to do your best and you always just want to kill it. And so when you're practicing, it's almost like you have this like weird pressure on yourself to like really kill it. And it's like, bro, like you could kill it even better and even more like embodied if you would just like love yourself while you do it. You know, like just love yourself while you do it. Then you could really sink it in and really embody it in a way that's like not just your mind being like, that was wrong, do it again. You know what I'm saying? It becomes more of like a relationship.
Do you notice though, as time goes on, if you're working on something, like a day goes by and you pick it up, it's like, oh, I can play it a lot better than I did yesterday. You notice those things, right?
100%.
And that's a motivator.
Oh, crazy motivator. Like what I was saying before, like hitting your head up against that wall sometimes doesn't help you as much as just walking away for a little.
What's something that you're listening to or that you've discovered lately that you're like, oh, this is amazing?
What have I discovered lately? Can I look in my recents?
Of course you can.
Oh my goodness, because I feel like I listen to so much music and I'm just like,
do you use Spotify or Apple Music? What do you use?
I be going all around. Okay, so this is what I've been listening to.
Okay.
There's this Native American woman, her name is Fawn Wood.
Okay.
And her album, Kakike, I've been listening to that recently.
Okay.
And it's a lot of chants and a lot of just beautiful hymns in like ancient Native American dialects.
Okay.
And I don't know, I just love the way they move their voice, and I love how like simple but like powerful it is.
Is this something you'll sing along to or no?
Oh yeah.
Is this something that you'll be like, I want to add this element to my next record? Or is this just something that fascinates you?
It's more like, let me hit up Fawn Wood.
Okay.
And have a conversation with her and tell her how much her music has touched me.
Cool.
And hopefully we can make something like it in the future. I feel like because of just the nature of my voice and the nature of just like my ancestry, there's always going to be a tribal element. There's always going to be a very just like earthy and tribal element to the songs that I'm making, no matter what genre it is, really can't get away from that part. So yeah, I think that that's why I'm so called to that kind of music.
I made a video on Symptom of Life. And
I shed a tear, not
well,
gonna lie, when I...
because I had a conversation with a friend of mine a couple weeks before about how they thought back in the 80s or so that popular music, in their imagination, that it would be more sophisticated in the future, not simpler. That song to me was like what popular music should sound like in 2024, 2025.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And because it had really beautiful, sophisticated harmony, it was in an odd time signature, like all these things that to me, 30 years ago with the future, yes, future humans are gonna like much more sophisticated music because they've heard everything else and
it's building on that legacy, building on the legacy.
Yeah, so that future humans like, no, I want to hear songs in 7. I want to hear stuff that has really kind of dissonant harmonies in it, right? Let me play the song. I did it for the people that didn't see that video.
Pushing and peeling myself out of my disguise. Looking at you now, I'm wondering who am I? If I could try to take you back, I couldn't define.
So good.
Absence of time, knowing all is decided. There's nothing here left to find. The stories all in my mind, and pushing and peeling the layers that cover my mind.
Can I talk while it's playing?
Absolutely.
So the bass part, specifically for this song, oh my goodness. It was a lot figuring out, like, because I was so adamant that it needed to feel a certain way. Like this next part coming up. So those intervals that the bass is playing,
yes,
yo, like it was another bass part before because we had done a session and sometimes he'll work on things and I'll come back and I was like, I don't like that bass part, bro. I was like, it's not grooving the way it needs to be, and he was like, the whole thing, and I was like, the whole thing, dude. And so we deleted the whole thing and like redid it from scratch. And I was just like singing it to him the whole time. And that's why I'm just so proud of the bass on this song.
Bass is amazing.
Me and Chris hit that one hard.
Willow, can I get you to play some guitar?
Of course.
And sing?
Yes,
cool.
Of course. I would love to.
Willow, tell me about this thing that you're, this idea. You're working on a song.
Yeah, I'm working on a song, and I started writing it like around Christmas.
Okay.
But it's been still coming into its shape.
Okay.
So it's not 100% there yet, but we're gonna vibe it.
Beato's belly poised on a needle. Puncture wounds go how deep you feel. Why? Daughter wolf bleeds a trail through the forest, licks her wounds, honor this holy pain. Respect this lonely place, this place. Honor this sacred pain. The truth is what we gain honor. Young tribeswoman yearns for the hunter. She's the chosen, can't take a lover. Why? Heron boy drinks from the chalice, from this us with in this holy pain, this pain, honor this lonely place. The truth is what we gain honor.
Beautiful. I love that you do that you vibrato notes in there and everything.
Yeah, cause that's what I love. It gives it that like good feeling.
It gives it the mojo that it needs there.
Yeah, but it's all about the movement.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like for
Yeah.
me, it's all about like, yeah, it would be easy to just like.
To strum something. No, you need to have that. It's like, well, you got this bass line going and stuff.
100%.
I mean, that's what it is. It's like you're kind of like melody and bass.
Yes.
And then you have those inner notes to add the color, the inner notes of the chord
100%.
voicing, but you're not really playing any stock voicings.
But
You're
the
playing,
melody and the bass,
The
like
melody
you
and the
hit it
bass.
right on the head. That's the part that's
Yes.
like holding the whole thing. That's the like holding the whole thing together.
And that's why to me, the melodies are so interesting because you're harmonizing with the bass part so much.
Yeah. And
But I
what's-
think you just hear it like that.
I do just hear it like that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like. When I was writing this specific riff, it was more about the movement.
Yeah.
And because I had done a cover on Instagram of the Chapel Roan song, Red Wine Supernova.
Why don't you come over? Red wine supernova, fall right into you.
And I had done a certain thing with that I really liked, and I was like, I need to write something else that kind of has that movement in it.
Yeah.
And that's where all these slides, all those slides coming in.
Yeah.
And then this guy.
That's beautiful. I
This
love that.
this one is
Oh
my
God.
that
Come on. That's like the uplift there.
100%.
And it has a dissonance in it, which gives it the it's like melancholy uplift, if that's even a thing.
Yes. It is melancholy uplift.
Yes.
It's like, dang, I'm crying, but the sun
It's-
is coming through the window so beautifully
like-
right now.
It's that sad. It's that sad thing that's like that's uplifting sadness.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is actually my favorite mood to be in. I love to feel that with music. I love to. I want it. And to me, there's such a sadness in the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
The whole part is sad.
yeah.
Is melancholy, and
Yeah.
that to me is where music is the best. For me, it's the best.
When you can just really open your heart in
Yes.
that space, you know.
Yeah. Willow, what do you work in? What when you record? If you record something on your computer, what DAW do you use? Do you use like
On my
Logic
own,
or
I'll
something?
use Logic.
Okay.
But if I'm working with a producer, actually, me and Chris, we use Logic. Usually, if I'm working with Eddie or if I'm working by myself with an engineer, I'll use Pro Tools.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know how to edit in Logic, right?
Oh yeah. But
You're a
Pro
pro.
Tools, I'm like,
Hey, you
I'm not a pro at editing in Logic.
come on. I bet you're pretty good at it.
I mean, I can stack a vocal. I can put what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I can do some guitar parts or whatever. But like actually doing some real like heavy lifting on the computer.
Okay, how long does it take you to think of harmony parts? No problem, right?
No,
Piece of
that's
cake.
my thing.
Yeah.
Harmony's my thing.
Yeah.
That's what I spend the most time doing after the vocals have been like after the main vocal is done. I'm just like, okay, we're just gonna go crazy with harmonies now.
Okay, so what do you have coming up?
What do I have coming up? Well, I've been working on an album 100% produced by me.
Okay.
And that has been so just fulfilling and inspiring, and it just keeps stretching. My mind just keeps stretching. My heart just keeps stretching. And I'm like, how much more can I really go? But it's always more, which is really awesome. So I'm excited, and I've just been
Is that
really
something that's
studying.
going to come out this year?
No.
Okay.
No, that's, who knows when it's going to come out, really.
It's going to come out when it's ready to come out.
Yeah, because it's really like it's a study. Like, it's me in there by myself, like, let's push it to the limit. What can you do, Willow? What can you do? Let's push it to the limit. So we'll see, you know what I'm saying? But it's in the works, 100%.
Willow, it's been so great hanging out with you. I really, talked about getting together for a long time, and I'm glad that it worked out this time.
Me too. You're just so amazing, and
You're so amazing.
thank you for being so patient with me. And yeah, this is an honor.
Appreciate it. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.